This is the Collins family. And obviously, by all of these kids in one frame, you could tell that they have a big family. There are 11 kids in this one frame, which is wild to me. But in this video, she is basically announcing that she's pregnant. Look at the top two kids. These are the oldest children. They are obviously shocked. And then in her video, she puts the caption, "I promise my two cool teenagers are excited. This is how they show emotion." This is one of the things that I've talked about before because I am a firstborn daughter. No, my family did not have this many kids, but I know and understand what kind of responsibilities you get as a firstborn. My younger brother is 11 years younger than me, so I have a lot of responsibilities, but I am totally sure that these two have way more responsibilities, and I know that their childhoods have both been stolen from them by this woman who is just ecstatic about having another child. And the thing is, we talked about this before as well. This is one of the reasons why many child-free women are the way they are. They are staunchly child-free because their childhood was stolen by their parents. I despise this type of thing. I despise this content because I know that these children are not getting the kind of attention that you should be giving to your children. I have two kids. Both of those kids take a lot of work. I could not imagine having 11 or 12 kids, especially being pregnant, because when you're pregnant, you have less energy. It's just a lot that goes into being pregnant, having birth, and then recovering from it. The sleep deprivation. But these poor children have no choices in it because these two keep on making the decision to have kids, and then their kids have no choice but to participate in being a parent when their parents keep on making these babies. So I'm not on her page, I'm on Threads. And Aaliyah says, "I don't care what you say, the oldest ones are fed up. The body language says it all." Now, let's look at some of the comments on the post because Aaliyah is the one that shared this. So this woman, her name is Kia Bia. I actually follow her. But she said, "That girl is going to leave home and never come back. And she probably won't have any kids because she spent her childhood raising her mamas." And we've talked about this before. We're going to continue to talk about it because people of right now need to know and understand that it is absolutely selfish to have these kids and then make them be your servant, make them be a parent when they have no say in all of these dangling kids. Cleopatra says, "As the eldest daughter, number 2 of 10, I can say that I'm fiercely against having more than 4 kids. I don't care how much money the family makes, although that's super important. There's no way that 2 adults can provide individual emotional attunement to every single kid. And the oldest are absolutely used as caregivers for the youngest. I do want kids too eventually, but I take the decision very seriously because I care about how my parenting will make my children feel." Life Hacks from the Gap says, "As an eldest child and a former single mom, I feel this. I changed my career trajectory because I didn't want my child to feel she was pawned off to others her whole life. I already had health issues, and parenting is something you can only do once. Your mindset says you really understand the emotional fragility of children who are in your care because you did that already." So the thing is, this mother knows and understands how your work, that's time spent away. So she changed so that her daughter could feel that the mama was all in. And I am here for that. I'm here for the foresight of that. And so then Cleopatra says, "Exactly. I don't understand how most adults seem to quickly forget what it was like to be a child. Most parents don't care how they make their child feel. Children are precious and they didn't ask to be here. Just because someone can make babies doesn't mean they're a good parent. That takes intentionality and more than just basic provision." It really does. Princess AJ says, "It's her trying to convince us that they aren't pissed. Yeah, they're showing exactly what emotion they're feeling right now. Look at their faces. They say sleep deprivation is coming. A bunch of diaper changing is coming. Fixing breakfast is coming. These kids know it's not that they're too cool and they are not excited. They're already pre-tired of their mamas and their daddy's mess. But I wanted to get to this part. Sing for Me Baby 44 says, as an eldest daughter of 9 who was in the same predicament, I went no contact with my entire family. I feel so sorry for those kids. They are not getting what they need. You're going to have all these babies and then see who sticks and stays. Like this woman, she left and she didn't look back. And that is very unfortunate. She didn't ask to be born first so that she would have to be a caretaker. Nito Chris says, no lies detected. My mom had more kids than she could handle. She had me babysitting and took my entire childhood away. I hate her and avoid children in general to this day. She said, I hate my mother. Really think long and hard about having all of these kids and stripping away your children's childhood. In the video, she talks about her period. Her kids were like, I thought you had your period. And she's like, I thought I did too. That's the reason why Lars is saying, also, what the F do her kids know about her period schedule? I couldn't care less if my kids know that I have my period, but my God, I don't announce it monthly. Same. Kia Bia says they probably know, so they know she isn't pregnant. The older ones don't have to be parents again. And then Millie says, I came here to say this, but comments were limited. LOL. Having all those kids and sharing the burden of raising them with the older kids is insane. You could see all of their additional responsibilities of another kid fly across the older kids' faces. So the kids don't get to go to the mall. They don't get to go to the movies with their friends. They probably don't even have a chance to have friends because their parents have made them a parent. All right, y'all, join the conversation. Let me know what you think about the Collins family, mama being so happy, and these kids being like this at this particular juncture with this baby announcement. Let me know what you think. So I'm scrolling Reddit like I usually do, and I came across this post really early in the posting, 15 minutes after she posted in the marriage subreddit. She said, made the decision to divorce, and I am terrified of what's to come. So this woman is 24 years old, so she's young. Her husband is 28. She said, I have decided to divorce my husband. If you're curious as to why, it's very spelled out in my post history. And yes, I do go back to her post history. This is not a man I can have a happy life with. He is not a man that I can go through difficult times with. Not one I can raise children with. Not one I can lean on. Not one who will treat me how I deserve. And I'm leaving him. I finally told my mother about all of the things that had been happening. To be honest, saying everything out loud made me realize just how bad things are. I didn't grow up with divorce being a typical thing or even really talked about in my family or culture, so I was nervous about how she'd feel. But she is fully supportive, and that made me feel better about this decision. I'm so scared though. I feel a lot of shame around it, like I'm a failure. But after thinking about it, I did everything I could to build our relationship up, and I feel good that I gave my best efforts. I can't fight for someone who doesn't want to work with me at growing together in marriage, parenthood, life. And I know I deserve better, so I choose me. I suppose I'm just writing this to sort of speak it into existence. Any kind words and support are so very appreciated. I love that she is choosing herself at 24. Number one, I've already said 24 is too young. I think it's too young. I think you should be living in your 20s, like finding yourself and all of that. But I do want to go back into her post history, and I'm definitely going to do that. Before I do that, let's look at the couple of comments on the post. Brand says, I think I could have written this myself to some extent. I'm sorry that you're going through this as well. Feel free to message me if you want to chat. Different Management says, you are only 24. Of course you should leave and move on and have a happy life. You were too young to get married. Good for you for recognizing it and making the change. I agree with that. But I've also said I think that 20s are too young. But that is me, obviously, and it's perfectly fine for you to disagree. Woods Finder says, if you tried your best and it's just not going to work, there's nothing to be ashamed of. You're just with the wrong person. I've been there. I had to leave a longer marriage because of the incompatibilities and how she changed and became a bad partner. I'm now in a good long-term relationship with someone who also left a bad marriage. We are a good match and happy together, and I have no regrets about leaving our prior marriages. This is her post from 3 weeks ago. She says, I feel so checked out of my marriage, but so heartbroken over it. She says, please be kind. She says, my husband and I have been married for 10 months, so they didn't even make it a year. She says, dating was bliss. The first few months of marriage were bliss. And then all of a sudden, I felt like I was with a different person. He became very impatient with me, dismissive with my emotions, brushed off concerns I had, stopped being affectionate, etc. I don't want to throw all of the blame on him, but to be honest, I have nowhere else to look. Anyway, through the past 6 to 8 months, I tell him areas I wanted to change in. I wanted change in from both of us. First, he'd say my delivery was off. Then he'd say, like, I'm sorry I'm not enough for you, or I'm tired of not being enough for you. That right there is Darvo. She brings up something and he's like, he makes himself the victim. Darvo stands for deny, attack, reverse victim offender. She feels something is wrong, so she brings it up. And now he's saying, I'm sorry I'm not enough for you. I'm tired of not being enough for you. I'm tired of being the problem. So he is now the victim. Okay, so she says, so I do my best to bring things up delicately as to not make him feel like I'm unhappy with him, but just the situation and that I wanted to work on it together. He never listened to me, not once. He met me with defensiveness and frustration, which eventually my mind translated to, he doesn't care about how you feel. You're alone. Then one day, I felt a switch go off in my mind. I felt extremely detached, disconnected, and like I was completely alone. And then this part right here, this part is clutch, because soon as you bring it up, you talk it out, and then once a woman turns off, they're like, what is going on? Bells start going off, warning signs start going off. He noticed, and all of a sudden, he's putting in so much effort. I see him trying, but it's so hard to accept. I almost don't want to receive the efforts. It's too little, too late. I want to be with him, but I have no idea how to move forward because, frankly, I feel like I have checked out. I feel love for him, but I feel no desire to be around him, talk to him, do things with him. It's so gut-wrenching, and I feel so confused. He says if I don't give him a chance to try more, then there's no point anymore. For a minute, I felt like we'd made progress, but I just can't open my mind and heart anymore. It's so hard to play the part. I don't know what to do. Is my marriage over before it even started? And that's the thing. Some of these women are like checking out quicker, like they can already see into the future, and she knows that she doesn't want to do this forever, because with many of these men, it's like you pull them to get them to act right, and then after you stop, after they get there, they get you complied or you're okay again, then they fall right back into those patterns. So it's going to be a constant cycle of, look, it's not enough. Where's the affection? Where's the love? Where's the support? Okay, here's some love. Okay, here's some care. And then the whole cycle starts over again. And women have got to see that it is a pattern. If they don't want to be there, it's going to be always pulling them along. Loving Mill Spouse says, the marriage is way too fresh to have these problems. I believe the main reason he changed so suddenly is because he thought that behaving that way wouldn't make an effect and you'd stay with him through that. But when he noticed you turned off, he realized how stupid he was acting. Also, sometimes maybe he was masking in the whole dating process to get her, and then the mask fell off and he couldn't keep it up. We talk about the way that these people are able to flip a switch. And some people are like, oh my God, you should just vet better. You should just vet better. How do you vet a liar? How do you vet someone that's cosplaying, the man that you want? You can't vet that. Anyways, let's continue. Why did he act that way? No idea. Have you talked to him about why he was acting that way? Did he have financial or mental family issues going on at the time? Work stress, anything to trigger him like that? A lot of times when people are being mean to you, it's not you. Something is going on with them themselves that they can't come to terms with, so they have to unleash it onto others. The marriage is still pretty early, but never too early for marriage counseling and having a second opinion for your issues. And then 2 weeks ago, she says, problems in my marriage are making me want to branch out. Hey, y'all, I've had a rough past few months with my husband. Keep in mind, they have only been married 10 months. She says, we're newlyweds, married last July. We had a stretch of about 6 to 8 months where it's been just terrible, fighting, disagreeing on everything, little to no intimacy, etc. We both threatened to end the marriage. My husband changed completely once we got married, and I wish we had just stayed dating because he was amazing as a boyfriend. Now it's like I'm with someone totally different. I don't want to blame him entirely, but I haven't heard any serious complaints from him, and I've been the only one trying to find ways to reconnect and build up for a couple of weeks. It seemed like things would get better. I say this because he felt me slipping away. He promised he'd do better and that things would change and begged me to give it a chance. Nothing has changed. It's gotten worse, and it hasn't even been a month. I'm so upset and heartbroken because I know if nothing changes, I have to make a decision, and I don't want to make. I love him so much. However, I have urges, insane urges to explore other men. I bring myself to do anything about it, but I'm fantasizing about flirting with some guys I used to talk to or even going on dates. My friend had a wedding recently, and the best man hit on me. I rejected him, obviously, but my God, do I want to talk to him and spark something up. I guess I'm just wondering if this is even normal. I don't have any intentions to do anything outside of my marriage, but I can't even help the thoughts I'm having. I feel terrible for wanting to venture out before I've even sorted out my current situation. Has anyone else experienced this? I feel like I'm going nuts. So 3 weeks ago, she was like, I'm done. I'm over with this. And she's like, he tried. And now she's already, and then 1 week after that, she's already like thinking about other men and fantasizing about a new life. And then today, she's like, I'm done. I'm done. She like, people are getting to their limit much quicker. And I think that she's actually done. She went and told her mama. I think this woman is done. Y'all let me know what you think about this one. Definitely a different type of post than the ones where they're like defending the husband and stuff, saying he's not a bad guy. Let me know what you think though. I've talked about this before. Men are failing and flailing right now. They are the ones that are wanting to date, marry, and have babies. They're wanting to do it more so than the women. And they finally, some of them are admitting it. I have seen it. I have seen how these women are checking out. And it's not that they are just checking out of marriage. They're not just they're checking out of dating. We started talking about 4B, West 4B last year. And people are like, women are not going to keep it up. They're not going to, blah, blah, blah. But I think that the men are feeling it. I remember there was that viral video of this man these men are always in a car doing this. That's the reason why when I parodied them, I'm in the car. But they are in the car and they're talking about how women aren't fixing them lunches anymore. Y'all remember that viral video where that man gets in the car? Where are the ladies that still fix lunches for their man? They are feeling it because the women are pulling back their time, energy, and resources from the men and pouring it into themselves, and I am here for it. This man talking about he feels like the feminine one. He feels like the feminine one because he wants babies. That's because the patriarchy, the fairy tales, the movies or whatnot have shown women being the ones that want this day, that want the family and everything. And they have it programmed into them that this is what women want. They don't actually listen to women as far as women being individuals and what women want. Because with the movies, the TV shows, the fairy tales, those were typically written by men. And it showed what they wanted as far as a life goes. And they are the one that showed what women want. But now that women actually have some autonomy, women are opting out because we see what happens. We see what happens in some of these marriages where women are simply a wife appliance. They go from having a life to being simply a wife appliance that is the caretaker of the home, the bang maid, the incubator, and that's it. And these 20-somethings are not willing to do that. And that's the reason why the birth rate for teenagers has plummeted off a cliff. Yay. The birth rate for the young 20-somethings has plummeted off a cliff. Yay. And what that says to me is these women are pouring into themselves. They're getting their education. They're getting their careers in alignment. And now the men are flailing and flailing, and they're flustered because the women are not connecting to them. And I have said this before, and it bears mentioning now. The mom to wife pipeline is drying up. And what that means is that these men are going to have to learn how to hold their own nuts. They're going to have to learn how to adult properly, how to actually wash their own behinds, how to manage, to get a vegetable and a bottle of water into their bodies, how to take care of their doctor's appointments and dentist appointments and all of these things. They have to learn how to do it themselves because the women are saying, nah, fam, this is not my business. And I'm using this young man's video as a reminder. Make them hold their own nuts. They need to, ladies, right now, make sure you keep your birth control tight, because these types would try to anchor you down with a baby. And in these political times where they are chipping away at women's rights, where they're criminalizing miscarriages, where they're making it so that women have to be on the verge of death to be able to have an abortion for an unviable fetus. This is not the right time to get pregnant. It's not the right time, especially if you are young and you're still on the trajectory up. Keep working on pouring into yourselves and not let these men and these tactics persuade you in any sort of way. Make sure that if you do want to have children eventually, if you do want to get married eventually, that your foundation is sound, where that if things go left or go too far to the right because of the red wing propaganda, Theobros, Christo-fascist ways that these videos are infiltrating their brains and turning them into rot, then you can exit. You'll have a financial foundation to be able to exit if necessary. I am saying this like an auntie, like a big sister, like I am a mother myself. Do not let these people anchor you down to the point where they are controlling your moves. They want to get married because they need that nanny, bang maid, incubator, wife appliance in the home. It makes their lives easier. For the longest time, they were able to make it so that, women were the ball and chain, but now they are clamoring to get that ball and chain. All right, y'all, let me know what you think about this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.
Now we try to date, and these girls are way more interested in a career, in a job, than a family. And I feel like I'm the feminine one because I'm like, hey, what about the kids? What about the family? Don't we want to do this? And she's like, I need to study. I have goals. I have career. I have purpose. It's it's totally flipped.
I have a book that I wrote a couple of years ago. It's called Ashy Men Will Make You Fat, a Petty Self-Help Guide. It's not about getting to a particular size or a particular weight. It's not about that. The title is just to grab you. This book encompasses many of the things that I talk about on my page on a day-to-day basis. It's talking about mental health, physical health, emotional health, and how getting with the wrong man can jack you up. So this is the book cover, and I'm going to give you just a snippet of the book at the beginning of the book, just so you can see a little bit about the things that I touch on in this book. Before we go forward, I want to remind us all that health is a combination of physical, mental, emotional, and financial wellness. So as we consider strategies for improving health, each of these categories have to be examined thoroughly. It is highly suggested that you go back and re-examine your values. What are the most important things to you? This should help you focus your energy, time, and resources, because we ain't Beyonce who can just outsource her time and energy to assistants. We have to plan and prepare to give of our time, energy, and efforts. So that is just a little bit about how I talk in this book. I speak just like we are speaking on these videos. I am talking to you straight. This is some of the things that you would have hoped that someone would talk to you when you were younger, just to put life into a bigger focus. Let's talk about health and wellness on a wider scale and how your relationships play a part in that. So join the conversation. You can find my book at burbandbougieshop.com, and It comes with a journal. No, I'm sorry. It comes with the journal if you buy a journal, but there is a journal that accompanies the book. Let me know if you're interested. bourbonbougieshop.com.